Now, will Uganda's representatives make it to the group stages of the CAF Confederation Cup? We'll get to know that this weekend. Not only will we discuss a bit of the Uganda Premier League and how Express FC is faring, we'll as well discuss the Formula One where Lewis Hamilton could end his wait for a sixth world title when the drivers show up at the US Grand Prix this weekend. Not only will be taking the Webb Ellis Cup, will it be heading to the Northern Hemisphere or the Southern? England's Lions do take on South Africa's Springboks in the final in Japan this weekend. We've got views in the English Premier League. Liverpool away at Aston Villa, Manchester City at home to Southampton, and United visiting Bournemouth. Not only the big guns return to the UEFA Champions League later on next week, we'll be looking at the pick of the fixtures where Borussia Dortmund are now at home to Inter Milan. Welcome to the Just Darren Show, sponsored by Betway.
Betway's Fort to Score is back and better than ever. Play our weekly soccer predictor where you can win your share of an amazing cash prize each week. Simply choose the first goal scorers in 4 selected matches and submit your selection before the first match kicks off. Entry is free, and if the prize isn't won, it'll roll over to the following week. Bet your way with Betway.
Now, things are not yet rosy for Express Football Club. They lost for the 6th time in the season. Out of 10 outings, they've only won 3 and only account for 10 points so far in the season. They just got 1 draw. On Tuesday, they lost 2-1 to Busoga United. And even if Frank Kalanda managed to take away penalty in the 20th minute, goals from Boban Zirintusa and Joel Madondo were enough to give the visitors the away victory. Of course, it was Busoga United's 100th match in top flight football since earning promotion in the 2015-2016 season, but for Express, they continue to shed a tear or two. For the coach, George Simogere, the pressure is still abound and, well, it continues to grow by the day. Express, still in dire need of results, remained in 12th place for Busoga United, moved to 16 points on the table after 10 matches that they've played. And as the league takes a break, not to forget the national team coach, Johnny McKinstry, summoned 25 players who will be playing in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier for 2021 when they do visit Burkina Faso and Malawi in November. Of course, 25 players summoned, none from Express, but we still got some time to discuss that squad. And the bigger or the juicy info is to do with the CAF engagements for the clubs, because Uganda's representatives, KCCA FC and Proline Football Club, do play their second legs of the playoffs to the group stages. And as we stand, Proline managed the 2-2 draw away in Egypt against Al Nassr of Libya. They do host them on Sunday in Lugogo, and my gut feeling is Proline could continue their run like they've had against AS Kigali of Rwanda and the side that is Masters Security of Malawi. On the other side, for KCCA, they did not score a goal against Paradao of Algeria, and they do visit them in the Algerian capital in Algiers. It's going to be a tough one for Mike Mutebi's Chargers to be able to get a goal, but with the encounter pretty open, a goal for KCCA does open the floodgates into the group stages, where the minimum a team can get is 2 billion shillings in terms of revenue that they can't reckon from the organizers CAF. For, of course, Proline, what has been talked about has been their defense that is quite experienced, and they've not licked in the goals. Even if they conceded twice, Mustafa Mujuzi, a defender, and Brighton Okani, the midfielder, scored away in North Africa. That backline has got the experience of players like Saka Mpima, Hassan Matovu, and of course Bernard Mwanga in there, hoping that they can get the result that should spur them through to the group stages of the competition. It will be quite history for Proline, who are only debutants on the continent. You can bet on the CAF Confederation Cup. The odds are available on www.betway.ug. Not forget some other Ugandans who are in action this weekend, including Pyramids, who do host the side that is Yanga of Tanzania. Former Uganda Cranes coach De Sabre Sebastian is the coach for Pyramids. They've won all their games away via the chartered flights, winning 2-1 in Tanzania, and now Yanga travel to Egypt, hoping that they can overturn the result. Yanga has got the midfielder that is Juma Balinya, who is also a Ugandan in that one. Quite a number of fixtures that you can bet on and plenty of stuff to talk about. But next week, we'll be discussing international football proper and more to do with the Uganda Premier League. Do not forget, the odds are all available on www.betway.ug. There is the NBA, not to forget. There is cricket, different series going on, World Cup qualifiers all over the place. And Not to forget, there are tennis tournaments and golf tournaments. As you all know, Tiger Woods making a joint record 82nd triumph on the PGA Tour in Japan last weekend. So many events that you can place your bets on, not only football. But let's talk Formula One. Why? The Formula One title could be wrapped up this weekend in Austin if Lewis Hamilton manages to get the 4 points that he needs, and he will be crowned as the victor of the 2019 Formula One Championship. It will become his 6th title. Well, he hoped he could win it in Mexico last weekend, but he couldn't get the 14-point gap over his teammate from the Silver Arrow in Mercedes, that is Valtteri Bottas. Even if Bottas came third and Hamilton won the event, it just couldn't guarantee that Hamilton had been crowned champion, but he will be crowned champion in Austin at the US Grand Prix on Sunday. Should be able to get at least 8th place and be able to score those 4 points that he does require to take the championship. Should he win the championship, he will be in touching distance of the legend, that is Michael Schumacher, for the Ferrari, who won 7 world titles. The victory for Mercedes in Mexico was their 100th in Formula One history. 62 wins of those have come from the one man that is from England, Lewis Hamilton. Now, to discuss the other drivers, including Charles Leclerc, who managed to get a 7th pole position of the season, but couldn't capitalize on that as Ferrari went on again to step onto their own toes. Sebastian Vettel came in 2nd in Mexico, and he was sandwiched by the 2 Silver Arrows. They will perhaps require a little more if they are to stop Lewis Hamilton, and probably even a catastrophe. But Hamilton is favorite to win on www.betway.ug. You can bet on that one. For him to win the race, it is at 2.75. You can bet on the other drivers, including Nico Hülkenberg. The odd for him to win as high as 1,000, and that for Sebastian Vettel at 4.25. Charles Leclerc has got his at 2.90. Max Verstappen, he's slowly growing into the shadow of Alexander Albon there for the Red Bull car, but Albon tightly contesting for a seat in the 2020 season. You can bet on all those drivers. You can bet on the top 3. You can bet on Hamilton finishing in the top 3 or Charles Leclerc. All odds are available on www.betway.ug.
Hi, my name is B-Wall. I am a huge Ferrari fan. Looking forward to the race in Austin this weekend. I'm hoping that Ferrari can mount a bit of a challenge. This season has been far from good for us. We've played second fiddle for a long time, and not just this season. This entire hybrid era has been horrible. No wonder recently Vettel was yelling that he wanted the V8s back. That being said, I'm looking forward to 56 laps of awesomeness in Austin. It's not been very good hunting ground for our boys. If I remember properly, last year Kimi Raikkonen managed to start third on the grid, and he finished first. And Hamilton, having started first on pole, I think finished third. But there was a small matter of Max Verstappen, who finished second. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to a very exciting race. And I'm confident that as much as the championship is dusted, the drivers done and dusted, constructors done and dusted, both are kind of tucked away in Mercedes locker rooms. I know that Ferrari is looking forward to a great season next season. So this is kind of warm up, because I would like to see how we shall decide who becomes our number 1 driver. Leclerc is a beast. He's a beast. And Vettel, of course, himself is a former champion. So I'd like to see more competition between those two. So yeah, Austin should be a good place for us to remind the world that this is the greatest racing team ever. See you in Austin.
Jimmy really likes hard work. Really. It's how he gets better at what he does. It's how he learns. It's how he impresses people. And it's how he knows United are worth it this weekend at 3.2. Oh yes, Jimmy really likes hard work. Because hard work sometimes pays off.
It's quite intriguing and interesting that New Zealand are not in the final of the Rugby World Cup. They've been top at the home of World Rugby for quite some time, and as we speak, the final will be between England, who will take on South Africa. It comes up on Saturday, and in Yokohama in Japan, they'll be wrapping it up. We'll be taking the World Ellis Cup. Now, the Lions do take on the Springboks for the first time in a World Cup final since 2007. In 2007, South Africa went on to win, if you remember, the man that is Habana for South Africa, delivering that silverware for South Africa to win their second World Cup title to add to the 1995 honours. For England, they won in 2003 and they'll be hoping that they can win their second World Cup this weekend. Many do fancy England to go on and win, especially with the fact that they eliminated the All Blacks 19-7 in the semi-finals last weekend. On the other side, the Springboks eliminated the Welsh by 19-16, and that's how they made it to the final of this particular competition. Well, Eddie Jones has been talked about as the man who has been the change of England's rugby, and he's brought them to the final. Many do think that he could still be the reason as to why they could go on and win. In a year that has seen England lift the Cricket World Cup title, they are in the Rugby World Cup final. If you do discuss the other people, you can't talk of Dina Asher-Smith winning the world title in the 200 meters at the World Athletics Championships. It doesn't stop there for England. Liverpool went on to win the UEFA Champions League. Chelsea and Arsenal clashed in the UEFA Europa League final, Chelsea winning that one. Literally, the whole of world sport has been littered with success stories of the English national teams and sportsmen. Can it still go on this weekend? On www.betway.ug, England has got the odd at 1.47, and that for South Africa to win. The Springboks have their odd at 2.95 on www.betway.ug. Many do fancy England to go on and win and add to the success stories that they've already had this year. Does that happen this time round, or could it be a draw that is rated at 20.00 odd?
My name is Ruben. As you can see from the jersey that I'm putting on, I'm supporting England in the Saturday final, England versus South Africa. And as you can see the jersey, it's in respect to the 2003 team that actually won, and that is the kind of energy that we're going to bring into Saturday's final. But just looking at the game, basically from my assessment, nothing big has really changed from the lineups, meaning the coaches are actually going with systems that they're familiar with. It's been 7 games into the World Cup. No one wants to actually try out things that are going to go astray. So England is going to be trying to be more vibrant, more dynamic, more expansive. South Africa is going to want to actually keep the game more boring, more set-piece oriented. And yeah, basically I have a feeling that South Africa is going to want to play more territory, more set-piece. England is going to want to use their backs as much as possible. Yeah, so all the best to England, and I think England by 10 points.
We're giving you the chance to boost your multi-bet winnings by up to 100%. To activate your boost, create your bet slip, check your boost, and place your bet. It's that simple. The more selections you add, the bigger your boost. Visit Betway online now. Betway, for the love of the game.
And we're done with 10 games so far in the English Premier League, 28 to go in the marathon, the rest of the championship this season. Now, of course, there is no big fixture this weekend. However, we'll sample a few of those that we've got as the big teams do prepare for continental football next week. But before we get there, I have two guests here, as you do see them in their jerseys. Jude Mugabi once again on the show from the Manchester United corner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. And the new face here, Mr. Nicholas Kaganzi. We rarely have Manchester City fans, but we've got one this evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
When did you start supporting Man City?
That was 2008.
What pulled you to get closer to Man City? Because at the time, teams like Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, the old good Arsenal, all still firing.
Okay, I think from way back I used to follow the game, but I really needed that team that would inspire me to support them. And when the cash came in, of course, Robinho transferring from Madrid to Man City, I was like, this is the team, bang. And I looked at their project and it inspired me to support the team.
Well, and of course, since those days, we've seen players like Yaya Toure, we've seen Kolo Toure, we've seen other names that have come into Manchester City for so many years. Emmanuel Adebayo moved to the other different strikers like Edin Dzeko, among others. But as we speak, City that has got a Sergio Aguero is just second, 6 points behind the leaders Liverpool, who won 28 after 10 matches. Manchester United is a little further on 13 points, but not far really, now in 7th place. And guess what? It is pretty tricky for any team. If you do not have the form, guess what happens? You could fall 5 places or 6 or even more, or even rise more, because before United beat Norwich, they're only staring at relegation as we speak. They are 7th, and only 10 points separate the team that is Everton, that is just above relegation, and Chelsea, who are in 4th place, 10 to 20. But we'll not be discussing the numbers and all that. We'll discuss the teams. But the big thing, Jude, that has made the headlines so far is the video assistant referee technology.
Yeah.
What's your view on this?
I think so far they've given very soft penalties. You think they would not be given in any other situation, but Man United have been very lucky. We've gotten, I think, about 6 penalties so far this season, despite the fact that we are missing them, not taking the chances. But I think that it's not adding really much. From the statistics, you can tell that the referees are still in control. They should still be in control of the game.
They should still be in control of the game. Nicholas, we've seen in other different disciplines, for instance, the Rugby World Cup that's going on, it's wrapping up this weekend. There's obviously a television match official. In cricket, there's the direct review system, the DRS system. Tennis has got that umpire as well. All the other disciplines are taking up technology. But what's your view so far, and what's the impact of VAR that you've witnessed in the Premier League this season?
Well, when it comes to VAR, I think there's little more controversies, but I believe if they had, the Premier League was not ready for the system because they had to go ahead and implement systems. Today you see something coming up and they're like, okay, today it's a penalty, then the next week the very same thing happens and they're like, no penalty. So they tend to contradict, and that has to change.
There's quite a number of inconsistencies, and I've actually realized on some of the games, especially when they are coming to a wrap, looks like VAR is not into play. I've seen other decisions where you actually feel like VAR should take center stage unless the ball is put in the net. That's when VAR comes. But when games are almost ending, VAR doesn't come into the picture, and suddenly it's turned out to affect the results. However, on www.betway.ug, when you try and stake a bet, sometimes there are those special offers that Betway does offer you. Whether there is VAR or not, irrespective, the goal, if it's in, it does count. Well, some of those offers, you should be looking out for them across the social media channels. But, Jude, still talking VAR, United has had 6 penalties. They've missed 4, including 2. Tim Krul saving twice against Norwich, Marcus Rashford, and Anthony Martial. Who is the lead penalty taker for United?
I think at the moment, probably, but for Tim Krul, we know him as a penalty specialist, so that one I can't blame the lads a lot. But it's a big concern for United that we do not have a real penalty first choice taker at the moment. We are missing a lot of those. You would expect Pogba to be the first choice, but he wasn't around. So it went on to Rashford. Rashford hadn't missed a penalty. I think since at the start of this season, he hadn't missed any in his career. Then he has missed 2 so far now. So it's a bit of a worry for us right now.
Marcus Rashford missed the penalty against Crystal Palace, hit the woodwork. The goalkeeper went the other side. The ball just couldn't get into the net. Against Norwich, his shot was just actually into the hands of the goalkeeper, Tim Krul. This weekend, by the way, Rashford could be leading the line once again as United visits Bournemouth. It's the early kickoff, and Bournemouth hasn't beaten United since December 2015. Even if United hasn't fared well, somehow United has picked the results of Bournemouth, who turn out to actually be a bogey team to other teams like Liverpool.
True. Since they came up into the Premier League, they have been on a very good rise. Yeah, but they've been a big bogey side for United, and United hasn't been good on the road as well. So it should
but
be
they had their first away victory.
Yeah, so it should be a tricky win, but we had a good victory on the weekend, so we're hoping to build on that.
Nicholas, I know you've watched games for Bournemouth, but there is another bitter statistic for them. They, of course, do host this one at Dean Court on Saturday, the early kickoff. But they haven't scored a goal in their last 3 games. 2 goalless draws, and they lost against Arsenal, 1-0. They last scored in the 2-2 draw against West Ham. Is it time probably that they stood up and perhaps inflict more damage on the people you call your noisy neighbors?
Well, we've come to see a lot of ups and downs in the Premier League. Well, you look at what's happening, stats no longer really matter. A team will come and just make history, which didn't happen before because United has always been United. They come into the game, you expect them to win. But it just happens. They might go into the game and they're shocked, which is happening. You watched Man City against Norwich, where they believed Man City was the superior side. They would just wash away the team, but we see them going down 3, was it 3-0? Yeah.
3-2.
3. No. As a
Yes, City had 2 goals.
Oh.
3-2.
yeah.
Yeah, so I hear all your feedback, but in my view, I think United stands a chance. Unfortunately, what stand out in recent seasons since Sir Alex Ferguson left, teams tend to rise against the big teams like United. A team doesn't win when they find United is in their way. They stand up and go and win a game. But the odds for United to win it on www.betway.ug is at 2.22 for Manchester United to win. Jude, do you think United picks a second successive win away from home?
Yeah, I think with the return of Martial, we have a very frightening attack now. Too much speed, too much pace. So we should be able to win that game.
Okay, and when you get to the side still, the odd for the draw is at 3.48 and that for Bournemouth standing at 3.21. Nicholas, Harry Wilson, Callum Wilson, Josh King, talk of the names like Dominic Solanke.
Yeah.
Do they stand a chance to get a goal? Because there's still another bet probably to go, like both teams to score. United seems porous even if they look good going forward.
Well, Marshall came in the weekend and they put up some great display. But there's a lot of inconsistency in United. Today they win, today they will show you they can play, then the next day they're already scared of the results and stuff. But I believe they can come up and win. There's something good that Marshall brought into the game that was lacking.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. You may, Judy, have any reaction to that?
Yeah.
United is like weather, keeps changing.
Like weather, we show up against the big teams, but against the small teams, somehow the result eludes that. Against the big teams, we've been playing well, but not getting the right result. For example, against Arsenal, Liverpool, we played very well, but we didn't get that result that we deserved. Yeah, and against the small teams, we've not been really showing up. So I hope it's a different story on Saturday.
Of course, United opens the weekend, like I've told you. They do take on Bournemouth away at Dean Court. On Saturday, it's the early kickoff encounter, but later on, Manchester City, who do host Southampton for the second time in a space of 5 days. City on Tuesday did put 3 goals past Southampton, but now this is going to be the Saints' first game since they lost 9-0 to Leicester City last weekend. Nicholas, here's where I get to you. How many goals will City score on Saturday?
It's a very tricky one.
Why?
Well, I've always seen it. When it comes to the back-to-back games, it's not easy to just beat a team over the midweek and then come to the weekend and again bully them. They tend to become tough, and given the fact that they had lost 9-0 in the previous Premier League game, they would want to put up a fight.
Well, actually, there are fans who traveled about 450 miles north, because Manchester is in the north and Southampton is at the south coast, literally. They traveled 450 miles, and the players actually donated their Friday wages to charity because they lost that game to Norwich, to Leicester 9-0. And here is where they come to the Etihad. Do you think they stand any chance to upset City?
Football has been tricky of late. When it comes to the way we're performing as a team, there is that inconsistency still. We're good, we can always score, but at the back I've seen we're kind of uncomfortable. The likes of Otamendi not upping their game. So I believe they stand a chance, though we could grind a win because we know Man City could shock and come up with a goal from nowhere. You remember the previous game against, was it Aston Villa?
Yes.
Now the first half was really poor, then in the second half, in just a minute or two, Sterling shows up and it's a goal.
City continues to open the dart any moment in an encounter, and Jude, here's where I come to you. At what point can Southampton feel like they can hold on to the grip and get into the Etihad and frustrate the blue crowd and leave with 3 points, especially in response to that 9-0 loss to Leicester?
I think they're very unlucky to be facing this City at this point in the season, where City is 6 points below Liverpool in the season. I don't think City can afford any slip-ups at this point in the season. They have to get that win. They will get that win.
They will get that win. I'll wrap it up with you, Nicholas, on Man City. The defense. It's been difficult for Pep Guardiola to line up the same back four. He's got problems on the left. Alexander Zinchenko starts the first games, then Benjamin Mendy comes in, moved to the central defense. At some point he had no outright central defender when they visited Crystal Palace. He actually played Fernandinho and Rodri there. Then Fernandinho is getting a red card here. The inconsistencies you're talking about, how can he bundle all this out? Because then we're heading into a very tricky spell where teams are going to be playing about 8 matches in a space of 24 days.
Well, the thing is, it's Guardiola. We just don't know, even as the fans, we always don't know who is going to play, which systems, because he's always tinkering around with the squad. But it all comes about with our transfer business. I don't think he had to take the bold decision of not buying a centre-back. We really needed a centre-back and he doesn't buy one, so we have to suffer the consequences till maybe January, because right now Olupot is out for long term. I think we shall just have to try and maybe make shift with the defense. Since the team is good going forward, we could try and use that strength.
Okay, the odd for Manchester City to win on www.betway.ug is at 1.10, and for a draw, it is put at the result at 10.26, 10.28 actually, if Manchester City is to draw that particular encounter. And guess what? If you do stake £1 million for Southampton to shock Man City, you can walk away with 24.16 million shillings this weekend. That's how big the odd is, and that's how Southampton has been put by the bookmakers. But the other games this weekend, including Chelsea, who do visit the side that is Watford. Watford has struggled, bottom of the table. They are yet to win a game. Chelsea, heading into this week, they had won 7 games in a row across all competitions. Does this stop?
Lampard has done something very good with his team. He has gotten the most out of the youngsters despite having the transfer ban. He didn't have many resources at his disposal, but he has managed to use what he has had, and they are firing from all cylinders. We saw Pulisic with a hat-trick over last weekend. So you expect him to continue with that run. Does Unai Emery have any reaction? He's in the last 2 games that Arsenal has played. They squandered a 2-0 lead against Crystal Palace. It ended 2-2. Wilfred Zaha heading to Twitter and saying they were playing NFL at the Emirates. Prior to that, Arsenal had lost early on last week, losing 1-0 to Sheffield at home. And, well, there was as it stands, they're not putting results together. Can Arsenal respond? They do take on Wolves.
Arsenal has the manpower. They can easily beat any team. But I don't know what happens. I don't know whether it's the tactical systems that are going wrong. Well, he has the players at his disposal. Today he plays this one, tomorrow he's playing the other one. He's over tinkering with the team, which brings about inconsistencies. So we really don't know. But given the right resources, because I believe he has the strikers in Aubameyang who can give you the goals. Then in that midfield, the likes of Torreira, who never play, are really good at holding. I don't know. If he fields a great team, Arsenal can easily win a game in the Premier League. Any game.
Well, the last game that Arsenal did play, Granit Xhaka was taken off and he was booed by the fans. That remains another subject to talk about in the football living room. But well, there's not much time. As we wrap up, on Sunday, Tottenham Hotspur will be visiting Everton. It is their 2nd successive trip to the Merseyside. Last weekend, they were there, lost to Liverpool 2-1, narrowly. Many will feel Sadio Mane's penalty should have been given. But well, Mohamed Salah went and tucked it away, just like he did against the same side in the UEFA Champions League final back on June the 1st. And now, can Spurs respond? They do take on Everton, who have been struggling. The coach almost, he's survived by the thread recently. Somehow taken the pressure off. Do they stand a chance? Sunday.
Spurs were very good last season. I don't know what has happened this season, but I feel like if you're going to go by Sunday's game against Liverpool, I felt like they should have buried that game in the first half before Liverpool came back. So, but I think they will need a positive response against Everton. But Everton is a side which is lukewarm. There are days they will show up, there are days they will not show up. So you don't know which Everton shows up. They have very good players, Richarlison and what. They always get the goals somehow. So I think it's going to be a tricky game, probably a draw.
Probably a draw. The last game we'll discuss, well, a surprise team. There was a joke that there is no longer a big 4, there is no longer a big 6, it's probably a big 9. Leicester City in 3rd place, right behind Manchester City. Well, they've been quite incredible. Jamie Vardy has got 9 goals to his name. Brendan Rodgers is clearly intent on getting UEFA Champions League football next season, and they are trying to get the grip of that ticket way early this season. They do visit Crystal Palace. That game comes up on Sunday, and their odd is as high as 2.51 on www.betway.ug. But does Leicester keep the fire going? They've put 9 past Southampton. Liverpool almost failed to beat them. It took a James Milner-less penalty to get that result. They look like they're getting everything right, but many think it's still early days. Some are looking like they look at the elephant in the room and they just want to turn away. But the Leicester City problem never goes away. We know how they won the league just a few years ago. Are they in the same line to head into the same history?
Well, when you look at this later, Brendan Rodgers, I really rate him high. He is really a good manager, tactically, and then when it comes to also managing their players, he's really good at making players great, you know. We've seen him do that at Liverpool. He's coming to the Leicester side and he's trying. You can see the likes of Perez, who are inconsistent in Newcastle. They're coming in to put up great performances. So I believe it has to go on for some good time. We're still having Leicester in place.
Do they pick their result on Sunday?
They will
away
have
from
to.
home?
They will have to.
Well, it is at the Selhurst Park on Sunday. Crystal Palace against Leicester City. The odd on www.betway.ug for Palace to surprise. Guess what? They've been fighting. Their previous games have not been quite easy. They've been taking on Manchester City. They've had to play Arsenal. And of course, now they do take on Leicester. They're odd at 3.55 and for a draw at 3.42. Leicester City away from home at 2.10. For Chelsea to win away from home, the odd is at 2.51 on www.betway.ug. And that, for the side that is Tottenham Hotspur actually, is at 2.51 away from home, and for Chelsea against Watford at 1.66. Liverpool, who are top of the table, they do visit Aston Villa, and many do fancy them to pick the result. Their last visit to Villa Park, well, they managed to win there 6-0. One of the players who scored for them then, back in 2016, was Kolo Toure. The odd for Liverpool to win is at 1.37, and that for Aston Villa to surprise the entire continent and the whole world watching the Premier League at 7.99. For Arsenal to win at home, the odd is at 1.69. All odds available on www.betway.ug. Well, special thanks, gentlemen, coming through to the Just Darren show. Hope we can have you once again, Nicholas. You're doing a pretty decent jersey. For Jude, I'm familiar to it. I've seen it often. Special thanks for coming through, and good luck at the weekend, as well as the Champions League against Atlanta next weekend. Same to you, Jude. Good luck to you, and in the Europa next week. Well, we'll take a break. When we return, I'll be giving you all the latest in the UEFA Champions League.
Betway's Sport to Score is back and better than ever. Play our weekly soccer predictor where you can win your share of an amazing cash prize each week. Simply choose the first goal scorers in 4 selected matches and submit your selection before the first match kicks off. Entry is free, and if the prize isn't won, it'll roll over to the following week. Bet your way with Betway.
We are the halfway stage of the group stages of the UEFA Champions League. 3 games are done for every team, and as we speak, teams are beginning to fight for qualification to the round of last 16. Some trying to secure that small window through to the UEFA Europa League. The big game still will come from the side that is Inter Milan, who do visit now Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund hoping that they can revenge at home. They lost 2-0 in the previous encounter. Lautaro Martinez getting the goal, and also Antonio Candreva. Martinez missed a penalty late on that was saved by Roman Buki for Borussia Dortmund. Now both teams, Dortmund and Inter, are tied on 4 points, and they will hope that whoever picks the result next week should be able to take the second place and consolidate it as they head into the last group games. Now on www.betway.ug, the odd for Borussia Dortmund to win at home is at 1.98, of course banking on players like Marco Reus among others, and Inter Milan have their odd at 3.74 with a draw at 3.59. Several other matches are on cards, including Barcelona, who top that group, taking on Slavia Praga at home. Lionel Messi had a hat-trick already in the La Liga this week, hoping that again in the Champions League next week he will be banging in the same. The other fixtures that you can look out for, including Valencia, who do host Lille. Valencia are the favourites with their odd at 1.82 on www.betway.ug, and Chelsea, who managed a 1-0 victory away at Ajax, do host them now at the Stamford Bridge with their odd at 2.04. Liverpool won 4-1 against Genk away from home. They now do host them in their group. The odd for Liverpool to win is at 1.09. Napoli in the same group do host the side that is Red Bull Salzburg. They beat them 3-2 away. Salzburg have their odd in Italy at 3.93, and for Napoli at 1.78. Several other fixtures come up, including PSG, one of the three teams that is yet to concede defeat or drop a point. Kylian Mbappe has scored 5 goals in his last 3 matches in all competitions. He will be the man to look out for, and probably likely the return of Neymar for PSG in this one, and we'll wait and see how that will go. For PSG, they have their odd at 1.17, and for Club Brugge at 15.90. The other match that you could look out for is Real Madrid still, who do host the side that is Galatasaray. Madrid are favourites with their odd at 1.21. Several fixtures are available across the different leagues in Europe and Africa, Asia, the Oceania, and several other continents. You can bet on them. The site is www.betway.ug with juicy odds all available. Not only the Champions League, but also the UEFA Europa League that comes up later on next week on Thursday. Well, special thanks for watching the Just Darren Show. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, as well as YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more of these subsequent shows that will be coming your way. Just don't forget, it is Just Darren.